The geeky dad of the week is...
Comic creator Bradshaw is back on the show to talk about his comic book series, Jake Jetpulse. It's an awesome comic book series, and it has a very interesting backstory. Check out this awesome interview. Okay, everybody. Bradshaw is with us again. You know, I didn't have you last season. I'm sorry I didn't have you last season, but we can rectify that now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, so for all the new listeners out there, introduce yourself.
Well, I am Bradshaw, and I'm the owner of Jetpulse, the owner of Jetpulse Studios, and the co-creator of the new Adventures of Jake Jetpulse. And I say co-creator because my son Jake is the inspiration behind the characters of that comic book story. So, my character Jake Jetpulse, or our character Jake Jetpulse, is an autistic superhero who finds himself in the middle of an intergalactic war. And it's a really cool storybook superhero series that I used to teach my son how to read and understand the world around him. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the last time you were on, the kids reviewed the book, and they loved it. You know, you got to give us the new copy of the new issue.
Oh, I'm definitely going to send them to you. Yes, yeah. I think you're really going to like these.
Yeah. So, since you've been on the show, you've been working on some new stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, since then, I guess I've been climbing into the role of course, like helping helping others find their to find their passion. And some of them, when it comes to creative writing, so I've kind of found a way to become like the Obi-Wan Kenobi to people's their
Yoda.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much like that. And it's cool because it's like I love the questions that the people ask when it comes to creating stories, because I always try to find new and unique ways to help people find like the superheroes, the characters, the stories that they have within them, but they're not quite sure of getting them out. So I've had this this discovery that that's really it's a lot of fun, because it's helping me discover what makes Jetpulse so unique. I guess I really couldn't see it from the beginning, because Jake and I were just so into just creating these stories together, but the uniqueness of what the story really is by all the elements that went into it. So a lot of it were the art therapy lessons that we would do, or that I would instruct Jake in his daily routine every single day, because he was always enamored with superheroes. And I would find different ways to connect with Jake by having him identify the positive qualities within himself. And by doing that, I was able to guide him through certain lessons, things for instance, helping him discover his uniqueness, authenticity, empowerment, things like that. And to tell you the truth, is a lot of fun. I mean, I really like doing these little workshops and stuff. So
yeah. I mean, and you and this method can work for any kid. It doesn't have to be autistic. It can be
exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, exactly. And that's the thrilling part about it, because it's pretty much for everyone. I mean, it's even for adults too.
Right.
The book a while ago. I think it's been about at least maybe 3 years now, and it's called The Hidden Heroes. The Hidden Heroes, create your own character, create your own comic book adventure. And in it is a lot of elements that I've been teaching Jake about, creating your own superhero based on based on your own personality, your own experiences, you know, identifying the good and bad traits, like for instance, like um you know, if you were a superhero, what kind of superhero would you be, and who would you fight for? Like, what would you fight for? What are your virtues? What are your morals? And see, people don't realize how much they invest into that superhero when they see themselves as, they don't realize that the best version of themselves isn't that superhero. It's just, it's all in them. They just have to realize, you know, that it's already there in them. So it's a way of bringing it all out.
Yeah.
You're helping them do that, and then, okay, now let's put together some flaws and like some things that you feel that you need to help, you know, some help with, or you're not really quite there yet. So you're like, okay, well, it could be time management, it could be I'm afraid of heights, I don't like spiders. For me personally, I don't like clowns. Because I don't like clowns, I used to be afraid of them.
Right. A lot of people
But
are.
yeah, I mean, doing it creepy, come
Yeah.
on. And you know, so these were things that I would have, like, you know, I would instruct someone to write down. And then the third thing would be like setting a goal. And the like, now you're creating an effective way to overcome everything that you're, those obstacles, so that you could become that hero that you described, you know, initially. And the funny thing about that is that not only are you helping yourself as an individual with your, like, within your own life, but you're also creating like an amazing backstory for a character, because now you're creating the hero's journey. This is a character whose audience is going to root for this character because there's a human element that's grounded, and you know, it's grounded in reality that people can relate to. People have, you know, people have that, you know, have had that experience before. And so it kind of works both ways. I know it's a little crazy when I'm explaining it, but it does have like a purpose when it comes to creative writing, if you actually sat and think about,
Yeah.
like, you know, how life
Mhm.
works, right?
Yeah. So you have a YouTube channel now that
Oh yeah.
everybody should
Beat on
check
my
it out.
whopping 12 subscribers. Yes.
Yes, yes. You're gonna be talking about the process with this
Yes.
YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's baby steps now, but like, we're gonna get into it. And the idea is building a community, and building a community around like the creative process. So it's to, you know, to help others create a story. My thing is, I feel that there are people who have a story within them that is yet to be told, and they don't have the words or resources maybe just yet to actually get that story out. And I want to help them tell those amazing stories, whether they're comic books or whether they're novels, whatever for, like whatever like genre they want to tell. It's like I would love to be there to help them pull those wonderful ideas out. So yeah, it would be great to, you know, to really spread that around, and you know, maybe share that with other people. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a good idea. And now you have another installment of uh Jake Jetpulse, right?
Yes, yes.
So how many books now is it?
Oh my gosh, I think it's like 13 now. I know, like when it comes to there are, because there's a mix of books. There's our story books, our beginning readers for children between like the ages of 3 and 7,
Mm-hmm.
and then we the actual comic book for like the older kids to, you know, so they, you know, it's not so
Weren't
corny.
you weren't you working on a coloring book also?
Yeah, I'm going to like, as a matter of fact, I did have the last time we spoke, I had a the it was oh, what is it? Is the reading and math activity book, which had coloring pages in it. And I want to return and do another coloring book.
Mm-hmm.
The story has like the story itself has like, each story now has a different theme. Like the last couple of books has been about, like, you know, accepting others, you know, and making friends.
Mm-hmm.
And our most recent one, which is called Fear of the Dark, which is basically one character who, like the oldest character, like the oldest member of the Jetpulse Squadron, is, which is funny because it's she's the Nightmare Queen. She can, Miranda, who is the team member who can conjure up nightmares, like to help fight, you know, the help fight the Goblin Hive Queen and stuff. And
Right.
but her biggest secret that she's really embarrassed about is that she's afraid of the dark. And
Yeah.
and it's like I thought it was such an amazing story that Jake had, that we had to tell that one. It's so good.
Oh, Jake came up with that idea, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to have a character that was so horrifyingly scary. I mean, like they're the Batman and Robin of like the team,
Right.
where her partner is like this nonverbal ghost that only she can hear.
Yes, I remember. Now,
Yeah.
when you are creating with Jake,
Yeah.
he comes up with a premise, and do you come up with like the name, or does he come up with the name for the character also?
Well, sometimes the name comes last.
Okay.
And we'll get is like a character profile.
Right, right.
So what we'll get is like he'll come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, I have like an idea for this character who is like maybe sometimes he'll have an age or like an age and gender. Maybe he'll have like a little bit of the backstory ironed out." And I'll sit with him and try to get as much of it as I can out of him. And then like we'll just fill in the blanks just by having fun.
Yeah,
And we'll sit together and just kind of put it together that way.
yeah. And people can buy the book at your website, right?
Yeah, they can purchase it at www.jakejetpulse.com, or they could head over to Amazon and purchase the books as well.
Mm-hmm. And any plans for, since COVID is kind of, still around, but it's not as bad. Now you
Yeah.
can do some signings, you can travel, do
Oh
some
yeah, I
appearances.
definitely yeah, I definitely want to make plans like to hit up the comic conventions this year.
Mm-hmm.
I, really want to get more active because, being the only illustrator and, like it's just Jake and I were like I'm pretty much a one-man band when it comes to organizing everything. And last year was a year where daddy duty like took the forefront. Like I needed to
Right. Yeah.
right. So it's like this is where Jake was having a transition into becoming a teenager. He's going
Yeah.
like went to
That's the
junior
tough
high
years.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a move. There was a lot of other things that like,
Hmm.
like like family things that that needed to be
Right.
taken care of. So it's so now it's our time again to focus more on in Jet Pulse and really reintroduce it to everyone
Hmm.
and let them know that we're still there, we're still working, we're
Right. Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
our thing.
Get your
Yeah,
get your name back out there. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Now, I was thinking, like, have you ever tried to recreate the costume and have Jake dress up like Jet Pulse in
I
real
would I would love to. I need to find somebody who's good with creating costumes, and at the same time, I would really love to get him to jog around the block a few times because he's had a few Big Macs.
life?
Um,
No, but you could probably contact one of those professional cosplayers, because they make those suits from scratch.
yeah, I think they're fantastic costumes. I
Yeah.
mean, I would
Sometimes
love
they're
to
better
see them
than the
in real life.
movies, you know?
Yeah, yeah, they do such a wonderful job. The last time I went to Comic Con, I was just amazed by just how much attention
Right.
goes into like the whole costume creation.
Yeah.
Someone's blown away. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I once saw like an apocalypse that looked way better than the live action movie version.
Oh man, I've seen some Batman costumes
Yeah,
that should like embarrass some Hollywood, like
I know.
Hollywood
I
designers. I
know.
mean, man, these guys are really good. I like,
Yeah.
yeah, the prosthetics too.
They look
Seriously, I mean,
professional. Yeah.
really, yeah.
And you
I
ever
mean,
seen some of the ones that are
oh,
like, they look like mech outfits? Like they look like they had
yeah,
gears and everything. It's like crazy.
yeah. I mean, there was a guy. I think the last time, I think of the last Comic Con I went to was 2019. I think
Mhm.
there was a guy there like dressed as Megatron, like stilts
Oh
and all.
wow. Wow.
And I'm the idea that this guy went through all that. I mean, I don't even know how many pieces that costume was, but it looked fantastic,
Right. Right. Right.
Had to be hot in there though.
I saw somebody dressed as the alien queen from Aliens.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it looks so realistic.
Yeah, I mean the commitment really because like in the off season, I'm wondering if they're doing it like all year. There's the commitment that they have to these costumes, man.
And
That's
it's not cheap to make those things. I'm
oh
sure it's
no,
very
yeah,
expensive.
yeah,
Just
it's
use it for
incredible.
once, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, something like that, I'd probably wear it like every other day. I'd try to get as much as I can out of it, you know?
Especially Halloween.
Oh yeah, man. Seriously.
Imagine like an alien queen knocking on the door.
Oh my gosh. It's like that guy that dresses up as like that, what is it, that skinwalker, the hellhound. Have you ever seen that online?
No, no.
Like he has this costume. It's
Is
horrific.
that like a local thing that happens in Bay Ridge over there?
Oh no, it's not in Bay Ridge. If I saw that, I would run. I don't think I would leave the house. I mean, this costume is crazy, but you could probably find this guy online.
Okay.
Oh man, it's I don't know if it's a wolf, a skinwalker, a demon. I don't know what it is, but like it just looks gross, and it has like a voice, one of those voice
Oh,
changes instead of it too. And,
really?
like yeah, it's the
Yeah.
stuff that wets your pants. It's like I would, well, like the what an imagination, really.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
we could also like contact some of these like custom action figure makers. I did that
oh,
when I did my book, and you can do like action figures.
I would really love to. I think that would make my.
They usually take like an old action figure and like remodel it from that. That's what they did with mine.
I could probably do something like that.
Yeah.
It's I would love to see I would love to see these characters as toys.
Right, right,
That's
right.
one of the things. And the funny thing is, I think I said it the last time that we sat and talked together
Yeah.
that I pretty much designed the look of Jake Jetpulse as if it was a toy line.
Right, right. You know,
Yeah.
if you were to do that, you could probably
Mhm.
use the base action figure for the new 52 Wally West.
Oh, okay.
Because they kind of have the same costume a little bit. You just add a cape to that,
Yeah.
recolor it a little bit.
I would love to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would really definitely like it'll probably save me the space of buying like a 3D printer.
Yeah.
You know,
I
before
mean,
like the entire living room just becomes my work.
that's the main reason I don't get a 3D printer, because I'd just be making like things like crazy. You know?
I would make my Iron Man mask. That's the
Right.
first thing I'd probably do.
That's what
Yeah.
they're doing now. They're actually doing that for the cosplayers. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder why this stuff's coming out so cool.
Yeah. So this is the good part of the the great part of the show.
Yes.
Let's get geeky. Let's talk
All
about
right.
what's making you geeky right now. I'm
Oh,
saying
okay.
X-Men
So
97, right?
X-Men 97 is pretty amazing. I mean, like who you could tell fanboys went into this.
Right,
And
right.
there is like an overabundance of Easter eggs all over that cartoon.
Crazy. And
Yeah.
the song, when you hear that song, you are transported back in time. At least I am every time.
Yeah. Well, depending on how old you are,
Yeah.
it's like, because for me, it's actually kind of funny because I was always a geek. I always had fun, like there was always a thing. I remember, if they correct me if I'm wrong, but there was like the X-Men at the time would come on, and then Spider-Man had his, right?
Right, right. That came out like maybe like a year, maybe or two after that.
Right. So, and at that time, I think I was already in college, but like, the cool part was X-Men was the one thing that stopped all of my friends in their tracks.
Right, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was cool, like that intro, like sitting there and watching it again for the first time, because I know it like it's been on DVD or whatever,
Right,
and
yeah.
I never watched,
Uh-huh.
like after its first run, I never watched it again. So it was
I
even
rewatched it recently,
uh-huh.
and it definitely doesn't hold up in terms of animation wise, I think.
Right. Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are a little bit muddy. The animation is kind of wonky in places, but you know, for the time, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they did good. I mean, the same era as the Power Rangers on television, and
Right.
like we just wanted to
And
be
it was a very adult show. Like it was probably the only animated TV show on Saturday
Yeah.
morning that had a continuing storyline. Like every episode was a cliffhanger.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it had the same kind of tone as like, well, maybe not, because Batman the Animated Series was dark. That
Yeah, but
that,
every Batman episode was like standalone, you know?
yeah, I guess you're right. That they're like, did they have like an ongoing? No, they
They had
didn't.
like maybe a couple of two-parters here and there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. This is more like episodic television. The last time I really saw something like that was like Robotech.
Right.
I think like
And I think that
Robotech
was
had
like
like
the anime
very,
influence on the show, yeah.
yeah, that was more like a soap opera. I mean,
But I
it's
think they were trying to get the feel of the comic book, you know?
yeah, but it was great with a continuous storyline. And like that's what I loved about X-Men also, because it was, um I mean, it's like, I guess they didn't, the there were some episodes that were just like really, really good. I can't remember them exactly, but it all comes back to me when I start watching
Mhm.
like, X-Men 97. So it's like and this one thing I did notice about this new series is that it feels like, do you remember like there was an X-Men series, was it like the late 90s, where it was like kind of an alternate universe type
X-Men
thing?
Evolution?
No, it wasn't the cartoon. It was actually in the comics, where like
Oh,
Wolverine has like one hand,
oh,
he's
yeah.
in love with
They
Jean
did an
Grey.
episode like that, I think.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is, I'm wondering if they're actually going in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like,
I think it
so
was Age of Apocalypse.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
So it's like, I was wondering if that's where they're headed, because it seemed like there was like a couple of cues in there, and I was like,
Animation's way more improved now too. That's really good.
yeah, I mean, it's great to see like the same familiar art style. The technology's changed.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Cyclops, they
Yeah.
got this. The Cyclops is not a wussy. I don't,
Yeah.
I
He
I'm
did
so,
not get his due in any live action form at all, I think.
yeah. I mean, it's like he needs to be redeemed in live form.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he really does.
With one episode, they redeemed him. Really.
Yeah. And that was that like that first, it was the first episode, I think, where it's like we actually had to, we can actually see him using his powers, other than, he can move himself around, like using
Right.
it in
Right.
a
Yeah.
defensive posture.
Usually in the old show, all he did was catch Jean when she fainted. That's like
Yeah,
every episode.
I mean, like, this guy really had it bad for this poor girl. I mean, like, every 5 minutes he was like, Jean. I'm like, okay, we get it. You like her. Like, we get it.
And
You
now
know?
you got two, right?
Yeah. So good Lord. I mean, but that's the other thing though. Which one? I got confused on the last episode, man. Like, which one is the real one?
Right. I think they're gonna play that up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, like, that's gonna be like the big freak out. And but yeah, I loved it, man. I'm really loving it. So gives me something to look forward to every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So oh wait, hold on. Something's going on with the house. It's the old house is making noise.
Uh-oh.
You hear that, right?
I have an active imagination. It could be anything in my head. It's like,
Yeah, it could be the zombies trying to get in. I don't know.
okay.
We'll keep it in the background. It makes the show more realistic. Now,
Yeah.
what are your future plans for Jake Jetpulse?
Future plans.
Is there an endpoint?
No. I the both of us agreed to take this as far as we both can, or like which physically possible. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to end it. We actually want to expand on it. Jake
Right.
has a beautiful imagination that I was able to write down. I encouraged him to create a story, like a story Bible,
Yeah.
to write
That's the
everything
best
there
way to
is.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, to write everything there is about his comic book universe. And the wonderful thing about it is that there are 6 stories all together that makes up the whole Jet Pulse, like the whole Jet Pulse story. It's like
Hmm.
the Adventures of Jake Jetpulse in chronology comes almost near the end, of like
So
6 stories.
you're gonna have the character in the books grow just like the real Jake. Like,
Yeah, so the characters will grow with him.
yeah. So he's gonna like Jake is gonna go to high school, go to like uh college, or
Yeah, the whole Peter Parker treatment.
yeah.
And it'll be fun watching his journey and watching people come along and have fun. Like if it turns into an animated cartoon somewhere down the road, hint anyone in Hollywood, um,
Yeah.
like we'll reset the clock back to like, the age he was when we started, which was I think we started at was it 11 or 12?
Mm-hmm.
So now that most of the characters are now like 13 to 15.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
So
it's
I
beautiful,
know you had some spin-offs in mind.
Yeah. We actually had a couple of prequels too, because
Mm-hmm.
there's the entire battle between like the goblins and the trolls became one big backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake had told this story so wonderfully about how the Goblin Hive Queen, Queen Damiana rises to power, and like her betrayal of the goblins, and it was just so good, and how like her fall from grace from like these there were like 6 luminous beings in the universe that
Mm-hmm.
once watched over everything, and how she betrayed them too. It's such a like the way how he put this all together is so much fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that storyline it's absolutely wonderful, and I would love to see that become like become its own story. And then there's another part where um another story that takes place in space. Think of like Battlestar Galactica,
Right.
you know,
Or
or like
Dark Phoenix
Trailblazers.
Saga.
Well, something like more like the old school, like the early, like the late 70s, like Buck Rogers or something,
Right.
or like
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
the like the Jetpulse Squadron, or a whole different set of remember like how Voltron had like the 15 cars,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like that, you know.
Vehicle Voltron, I think they called it, right?
Yeah, so it's a whole new set of kids, of like
Adventures and
individuals on their own
yeah.
adventures under the Jet Pulse name, like fighting,
Mm-hmm.
fighting evil throughout the universe. And I thought that was awesome too. So there's a lot of stories that we want to tell, and you know I hope
And
that like
if anybody from Netflix or Hulu or Paramount, all these other I know Disney is too preoccupied with like Marvel stuff right now, and Warner Brothers already got
yeah,
DC. You got Paramount, you got Sony, you got these other guys. You gotta take some of these
yeah,
you know
I
unknown
feel
quantities here.
yeah, I feel that attention is going that attention is going to come. That is something that like, because my belief, I mean, I know that it's like, I know we always like to say good things about like the things that we create, like, oh yeah, this is awesome, of course, but it's always been
Right.
something I've been very confident in, that this will get the attention of someone. And
And
in
it's
the back
it's
of my
unlike
mind,
anything that's out right now. You know.
yeah. And it's and we're telling it as a story that has a feeling like like the Avatar, and like Ben
Right.
10 kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
So that's it's so there's a lot of like fun elements to it. At the same
Yeah.
time, you're getting a glimpse of what the world is like through the eyes of a kid who's autistic. So when Jake is you know there are certain things that like certain uh nuances, the things that in his personality that make him so unique, that we added into the story. And they're not added as weaknesses,
Right.
they're
Right.
just they're platforms. Sorry for the noise, it's like it
It's
always happens
it's
whenever I
it's
turn the mics on.
it's fine. It gives it more realism. That's what I always say.
Yeah, awesome. And it's such a cool thing. Like we mentioned like a while ago that Jake's ability to focus or his sensitivity to noise, the auditory processing, like that disrupts his power. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ability to
You
have
talked
him
about that before.
focused,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. The the other techniques like or other things like what Julia's Julia's inability to directly look people in the eye when she's
Mm-hmm.
speaking with them. These are things that like these are hallmarks of autism, and I thought that this would be a wonderful way to show people that despite what they might assume are like flaws or weaknesses in this comic book universe, they're not,
Mm-hmm.
and
Great.
it's
Yeah.
just part of their
It's great
personality.
to
And
spotlight that too. Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's a wonderful thing. So what I did was I took different elements of autism and gave it to each character,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so you get to see things differently. And we also introduced another character, Stephanie, who was awesome. Stephanie's ability to travel throughout time is
Oh.
so wonderful, because in her reality, she gets like, in I got this from Jake also, that he gets the past, present, and future.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he'll speak about like past events as if they're already happening now.
That's a cool tech. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's able to slow it down, reverse it, or like spool it ahead. But it's not like she can go well, if she's not paying attention, it can have like some cataclysmic like
Right. 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 Yeah.
results.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we created the character, we wanted her to have um that power where she only realizes it can go like maybe a few months ahead, and that's as far as she knows. But she'll realize that it'll malfunction,
Right.
and she'll go too far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So
that's cool. That's another cool thing to
yeah,
add.
we're running out of time here. So let's cut this a little short. We
All
gotta
right,
get you back on again.
I would love to be back on,
Yes.
man.
So everybody check out all the cool stuff from Jake Jetpulse. It's a cool universe. Check it out. And you know, I thank you for being on the show, man.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be back.
Yes, everybody check out Jake Jetpulse and you know, keep on being geeky and have fun out there. All right.